Teachers, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hey everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 21st of May, 2017. And I will tell you, holy crud, if I'm not going to beat things technology-wise this week, but we'll see about that. Yeah, snafus of, I guess, I don't know, Sam just being Sam, making me want to punch it in the digital box.
Telling you, yep. YouTube only is the way forward, and then just strip the MP3 out afterwards. That'll be easy. We have people who as well.
We have people who like to listen to the show live via the audio cast of it.
I understand that, but they can. I'm sure they'd be happy to migrate over with us to YouTube. It's hardly a painful experience going over. You don't even need an account, you know. You just need a link to the VTW account page on your bookmarks, and then you're sorted.
I don't know. That still makes.
Or we could even post a link to our main page every single time, so people just see that. We could have the live iframe, which shows the live show every time. That'd be nice and easy. I mean, we could let other shows still use the audio thing if they want to on VTubs, but we could just go pure video and then just strip the audio out for the podcast afterwards for those who want to listen to the podcast. Easy peasy. I can even do that script probably.
We'll see. I like how Sam has helped us for years, and now it's just, I don't know, it feels like an automatic update via an Apple tool to make an old version outdated so that you have to update to their live pay by year of subscription version now or something. You know, feels like that kind of nonsense, but we'll see. Anyhow, we're here on the show. We'll get things started, and we're going to see if it'll kick off with a little bit of, oh, wow, that won't even work.
Dun. Copy, why are you being lazy? Just say the line. Come on.
So apparently, the drop-ins, it's not it won't work from the deck. I had to manually go find the music to add it to the queue.
That's weird.
That's right. So maybe no drop-in this week, but it is time for dysfunctional deviations. And so, as I try to continue to sort things on this, Ken, would you like to let us know what you've been up to this week?
Sure thing. I have had only one thing worth mentioning happening this week. Now, I was kind of hoping to screen share, sir. Would that be at all possible?
It is, of course, possible. Although, let's see if I can do. I may do one thing to make it even more possible.
All right. Well, I've started sharing now. Tell me when you see what you see.
I can definitely see it.
Okay, so I went camping, and I went on a road trip, and I stayed in a hotel this weekend all at once. So people are like, "Oh, you didn't really camp, you stayed in a hotel." I was like, "Well, yeah, but they're separate nights, right? The first night we did camping, the second night we recovered in the hotel." So people were like, "Hey, you can't do that. That's cheating." Shut up. It's fine. It's still fine. I don't care whether you classify that as camping or not. We slept in a tent, you know. We had a barbecue. We did all the camping stuff, but it was only for one night. Because, in my opinion, that's the length that you can do it that it's actually fun. After that, it gets very boring and uncomfortable. One night's enough. So what we did is me and my buddies Graham and Stuart, we drove up north. I drove us up north, and we went all the way up to Aviemore, first of all, which is a beautiful little area, and we thought, we'll just camp here for the night. We didn't really have many plans other than the hotel booked, so everything else completely open this weekend. And nice. We got there, and we tried 5, 6, 7 different places. We just drove around how about here? Let's try camping here. How about there? How about there? And we wanted to do wild camping, which basically means that we wanted to go out and camp in the wild. So we didn't want to go in a park because honestly, we wanted to drink and have fun and be loud and make a fire and have a barbecue, etc., etc. We did not want to go along and have to worry about freaking people telling us, "Oh, it's past 10 and there's children, please stop drinking." That'd be very boring, right? I mean, we were there to have fun with a few guys, a few of us. So we drove up. Here's some pictures that I wanted to show. I'll just skip through most of these. It was a beautiful, beautiful landscape. That one of the places we stopped was here. This is where we planned originally to stop. You can't really, it kind of takes away the beauty. Couldn't be captured with a camera phone, sadly.
Gotcha.
The beauty of my face, that is, of course.
Yeah,
And
the massive
the
beard.
scenery was okay. Yeah, the scenery was okay, I guess. So we had lots of fun. There's where we're thinking about camping. You actually see Graham down there. That's in the very bottom left. We were thinking of camping in a little forest area, but the ground was just horrible. We just couldn't set up a tent there and be comfortable. It was lots of rocks and big bushes and stuff everywhere. I may not look it, but the ground was just very, just terrible texture, very stony as well. So we just sort of looked around here on the top of the Cairngorms and went elsewhere. We eventually found this place near Inverness. We spent like 2 hours trying to find a place. Because the thing is, you don't want to camp in the bad place. You don't want to just say, this'll do. Because there's no point in camping somewhere that you're going to hate. So take your time, find the place that's appropriate, that you can sleep in, that's safe, etc. So we had a bit of a dispute here. We decided we were going to put the tent where it is right there, on the grassy area, or in front of the tree line next to this loch shore. We were tempted to do it like almost on the beach. But we were arguing back and forth. And my point was like, guys, if it rains, we're going to be swimming. And this is Scotland. So there's like a 99.9% chance it's going to rain. And they sort of said, oh, well, fine, we'll stay in the forest. And as soon as we got the camp, everything set up, and as soon as we finished our food and got into bed, well, into our sleeping bags, we lay down. And then instantly the heavens opened and started pouring. Thankfully, we were fine because we were already inside. It was no problem. But yeah, when the next morning we checked, and that area that we were in, it wasn't actually underwater. However, the ground itself was so soaking that it would have just soaked right up into the tent as well. So I'm really glad that we didn't sleep there. We had lots of fun. We got, as you see, this fire there. We were very proud of the fact that we started a fire successfully with a tent as well.
Yeah. Men, make fire.
Yeah, it's always a moment of pride, right? So we got that going, and we cooked a bunch of sausages, burgers, and that sort of stuff, and we had a bunch of cider. It was really nice. And at the end of the night, it got quite chilly, so I had these. We're planning on making like a proper fire, campfire, but by that time it was already pretty cold, and we spent so long trying to find a good place that we didn't gather any firewood. So I said, well, you know what? I brought enough stuff to actually start the fire, like a fire lighting kit. Like, I got like those cubes, the things that are just extremely flammable. I got 46 of those, so I put 23 of them onto the barbecue, and just waited. And after like 5 minutes, still hadn't set. So I went over the lighter and just like tapped it like once, and it just went. Whoosh, suddenly it was up, and it was brilliant. It was very warm. It was lovely. We just sat. We had marshmallows. We did the traditional thing, burned our marshmallows on it, and then burned our mouths, and it was lovely. It was very tasty. And after like 5-10 minutes, we got bored of standing around the fire and burning our eyes, etc., and being all smoky. So we doused it with water and then went into the tent. And it was fine. We actually slept okay. There was a little bit uncomfortable, but when is it not, right? It's camping. So that was that place. That was good fun. There's some of our area, wherever. And there's us the next morning. We woke up and we're happy enough. We're all there. That's good. Nobody fell into the loch, so that's a positive. And there's the loch as well. I don't know the name of the loch, but it was the one next to Inverness, for anyone who's particularly interested. It was a really lovely area to camp, though, because it was completely, like, there was houses on the other side of the loch over there, but it was completely quiet. Nobody could hear us. We made sure that our little camp was just within the forest line, so they would be able to see our lights, etc. Because while you are allowed to roam freely in Scotland, setting up a tent is a little bit different. Setting up to stay is a little bit different, especially if you're drinking in public, because technically speaking, that's arguably illegal, right? So we wanted to drink outside, and we wanted to be able to enjoy a barbecue and light a fire, etc., and have fun. And we didn't, honestly, the reason we didn't want to stay in a big encampment with other people was because we didn't want to piss them off. We didn't want to be those assholes. We didn't want to be the guys that are up late drinking, even if it is an illegal place. We didn't want to make another 70 people suffer on our behalf. So we went into the wild and did it, and it was absolutely fun. Yeah. So that was us there. Then the next morning we were struggling to because we realized that half of our clothes got soaked overnight. Well, actually, I was okay. Mine were probably fine, but Graham's shoes got soaked right through, as did one of his jackets. So I was, and I was fine. But once we packed up and walking back to our car, we had to like go through a couple of fields, and due to the fact it was raining so heavily, the grass itself was soaking. So by the time we just walked through like for 10 minutes through a field, all of our jeans were completely soaked, and our shoes as well. So we had to go out shopping. So this is Graham finding a hilarious yellow suit trousers that he thought was funny, and a fancy suit jacket thing that he thought was funny as well. then this was then we had like a whole day in between where we went and stayed at a hotel, etc., and that was fine. We also went and got suntan from a suntan bed for some reason. You know, it's very manly. It's a manly thing to do.
You went to a tanning salon?
Yeah. The reason for it is we got into town after our camping, parked the car, etc. Did our clothes shopping, which was girly as well in a way, I suppose, but we're replacing our wet clothes, so we needed to. And we were still shivering and freezing. So we were like, okay, let's go find somewhere to eat. But as we were trying to find it, shivering on the streets, trying to find the local pub, we saw that there was this tanning booth place that was like, hey, 6 minutes free, your first one, but only on Saturdays. And we're like, hey, it's Saturday. Let's go in. So we went and got like 6 minute tan for no reason, just the fact it was free. We're just like, hey, why not? It'll warm us up. So we went in. It was lovely. You know, it was like, hey, we enjoyed some sunshine, some warmth this weekend, and that was fun. It was silly, but who cares? It was just I'm not for tanning beds. I think they're silly. I think they're dangerous, etc., etc. However, just like if you smoke one cigarette when you're 17. If you do like one tanning bed once every 5 years, it's not going to give you cancer, right? Just statistically unlikely.
Probably
you're more likely to get melanoma from going out in the sun for 2 hours than you are for 6 minutes on a sunbed, to be honest. So yeah. Then this is us at Loch Ness. This morning actually. We were traveling around and got to Loch Ness. We were skimming some rocks and stuff, and that was good fun. Had a look out for seals, etc., and it was lovely. And here's a 360 shot of us. There's my car. There's a bunch of tourists. There's always a load of them around here. And there's somebody looking at me angrily for taking a photo. There's the side of Stuart's head looking. I think he blinked as I took the photo. There's Loch Ness. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Wrong way. I tried to do some artsy shots because I didn't bring my camera with me because I was running about a rush when I left, and then I forgot to charge it and stuff. It's annoying, but the only thing that really annoyed me about it was that there was, at one point on the way back, there was these really big hills, the Cairngorms. They're really pretty as well. Just normally, they're very pretty. But it was a very rainy day today, and on the way back, one of the rain clouds was resting just over the Cairngorm and sloping down with it on the side, and it just looked amazing and majestic. It looked like a car advert kind of thing, like you see in the background of car adverts. It just looked amazing, and I was just like, crap, I really wish I had a camera for that, but... so what I did is I asked Graham to take a couple of photos of that, and I think you'll see that in a second. There's some rocks we piled up. So here's the photo I asked him to take at the window because I want to do this beautiful artsy thing, and I told him to focus it on the hill. So there's lots of photos of the inside of the car and my beard.
I know that challenge.
There, the hill, not me. Yeah. So and then he got a photo of himself by mistake. And that's Lagan Dam. Facebook's telling me that's what it's called, Lagan Dam. There, we drove past a random dam and thought it was pretty. But look at that! Look at that gorgeous open pine forest and the hills in the background. Next time you come here, we're going to do this road trip. By the way, I think that's what we need to do.
I like the idea of that.
It's so scenic, it's so beautiful, and with the car we can do it for cheap price. This weekend it cost us almost nothing.
Oh, nice!
It was just driving around for all. So yeah, here is the dam again. The Zoom E360 thing, and that's everything. That was something from 6 years ago at uni, I think. So let's just pretend that didn't happen. The last thing you saw. Cool. So that's what we did. It was lots of fun. The other thing was what else happened last night in the hotel. I went for a shower after all of our camping and such. And we had marshmallows left over from camping. Okay. And we were pranking each other all weekend, just stupid little things, like throwing marshmallows at each other, like just hide them in our hoods or whatever, just childish fun things the guys do. And everybody was like, they kept giggling as they were getting into bed, and I couldn't work out why. And I was like, what are they up to? Oh, God. And I thought nothing of it. And I was like, put my phone on charge, turn off the lights, got into bed, and I was like, oh, there's some crumbs under the covers. Oh, and then I was like, that's not a crumb. Pulled back the cover, and I was like, what the bloop? And turned on the light, and there was like an entire 2 packets of marshmallows were upturned under my covers, just everywhere. I was like, why? Why would you do that? They were just killing themselves laughing. I was like, why would you guys do that? We also played a bunch of drinking. I don't know why they did it. I really don't. We also played like a whole bunch of drinking games last night. I don't even know what Ride the Bus was one of them. We played a bunch of normal card games, but then added drinking elements to them. Okay. Ride the bus was pretty fun though. I kept losing. That was not good. That was not healthy. I'm a little bit hungover today, but
thus why you're not sharing alcohol with me.
Yes, exactly. I'm drinking tea today. But it was a really fun weekend. I can't exaggerate enough. And plus, what we paid was pretty much nothing for it. It was such a incredibly cheap weekend. We the hotel itself I got effectively for free. It was 30 quid because that was the deluxe 3-bed with a double room in this 4-star hotel for
nice.
£30, including breakfast. I was like, for 3. I was like, Jesus, that's crazy. Usually in hotels the breakfast is like
nothing.
£12 itself, right? Yeah, it's absolutely nothing. The reason for it is because with Hotels.com, every 10 nights you book, you get one free. And I applied my free night, which took away like £100 or so. So it made it just totally worth it. So I paid for the hotel, and they got all the fuel and the drink and the food, and so that was it. That was pretty much the entire weekend.
Very much fair.
Yeah, it was great. It was really, really fun, and just driving up and down. And I always hated the idea of a road trip because I was like, why would anybody want to just drive a lot? That just sounds so dull to me. But when you're driving through the Highlands of Scotland, it is just so.
It suddenly makes sense.
It's just like. It was actually annoying driving because I was like, I kind of wish I was a passenger so I could just like
look around and
just stare for hours. Like, it was just absolutely beautiful. My country is so beautiful up there. Where I am, it's all like there's houses everywhere and there's cities, and it's not quite as pretty.
Your area is just as beautiful. You get on a train anywhere around there and you go through so many hills and open areas. It's not all just city.
Yeah, I agree, but sir, you need, like, whenever you come to Scotland, we need to go up there because you will be blown away by the true rolling hills, the true beauty, and some of the, oh my god, driving some of those roads is great fun. There's bikers everywhere. But, there's this one hill near Dalwhinnie, which is also a really nice whiskey, actually. You just go past the whiskey distillery and you turn to the left, and then I was like, oh, look at that, guys, that's kind of scary. They're like, oh, what? They're looking all around. I was like, look at the road, and they're like, what about it? Where is it? Oh, there was no road. It disappeared because it goes like this, then it goes straight down.
Oh, nice.
For like half a mile. It's just directly down. And I had to struggle not to do too much over the speed limit because it was not only tempting, but it was easy to do. There was no other car there. It was just us on this huge open road in the middle of the country, and I knew at the bottom we'd have time to slow down. But I was like, my little car isn't the most reliable. I don't know how I want to... you don't want to break flying down, and
you don't want to break your car. That's kind of the thing, because when I was in Japan and I did the whole like little roads there with the little rental car, I beat the crap out of the rental car I had. I mean, I still think I did fine by it because I made sure not to hurt it, but I definitely drove aggressively.
You made use of the money you spent on it, right? That's the difference. Honestly, the roads are great fun. I think if we were to do it, we'd probably want to get you like insurance on my car or something like that, just so that you could have some fun. I think you'd really enjoy that. But so yeah, if anybody ever does come through to Scotland, like the Highlands, I always say you may as well just go to the cities instead, and that's enough. But having now been there as an adult myself, it is beautiful. Even on a rainy day, I thought it'd be kind of terrible, but it actually added to the beauty because the clouds are just resting so majestically over everything.
Very nice.
It was just so lovely. It was just so lovely. So yeah, that was my entire weekend. Our week really that I want to talk about. Everything else was fairly meh. So sir, what have you been up to in the past week?
Oh geez. Well, and I know I'm not capturing everything, but for non-geeky stuff, and let's see, I know I like to do things in actual order of when they happened. And so, essentially, the first thing I was going to mention is that while doing some somewhat geeky things, I also managed to get to watch the new live-action Beauty and the Beast movie that was made.
Oh, nice.
So, with that, yes, nice copy. Sorry, I was following up on the IRC about going to Loch Ness and saying, well, she asked, did you bring 350 with you to Loch Ness?
Yes. Yes,
so, yes, good reference. But watching the new Beauty and the Beast movie, the live action with Emma Watson in it.
Yes.
I was watching it kind of like it while doing other things, actually chatting with my friend Undine while hanging out with her doing some stuff. But I wanted to comment that I enjoyed it. It was, for the most part, I would say they did quite a good job. I talked to some people that had a little more criticism of it than I did. And I knew kind of one of the main criticisms that people had come up about with it prior to seeing it. But overall, I'd say they did a really good job, and they actually added in some detail that's not there in the original Disney animated film, where they were able to talk through kind of some of the why certain things happened and actually filled some of the plot holes that the animated series had. That were just minor things. An example of, like, for people who know the story, which everyone should know the story by now of Beauty and the Beast, or at least the Disney version of it, that there's, like, one of the scenes was in the animated one is after Beast gets hurt trying to save Beauty from the wolves, that the next scene you, like, see her carrying him back on the horse as he's slumped over it, but one of the thoughts is, like, how could she have ever picked him up and put him onto the horse?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because he's this huge beast. Well, in the live action version, she rouses him just enough to say, "You need to help me, and you need to stand up. I need you to at least stand up," and thus being able to get him up enough to slump him over the horse, right? Something like that. Just little things. They did all these little details that actually Undine pointed out most of, where she's like, "Oh my God, they actually answered that. I've always had a question about that. My family used to always give it crap because the animated one, totally skipped over this scene or made it not make any sense as to why this would have happened." They actually made that work really well. And I love the visualization they did of kind of all the animated furniture and dishes and items and stuff, all the staff from the prince in the castle. The way they made them look in CG, I think, felt really cool. And they even, not really twisted things up a little bit, they did slight little changes to the original story, but I think it actually helped with continuity throughout and made it thus a better movie. Now
so you say everybody should know this storyline, but I gotta say I really struggle with it because I haven't seen it since I was, like, very young, and I don't tend to watch things again like that. So I really don't remember much of the story other than the fact I remember being told what the difference is between the actual story and
the old real story where he had multiple kids. The actual clockmaker or such, her father basically had multiple children, and when he was coming back through and got stranded at the castle, he was forced to offer up one of his children in order to live with the beast to get his freedom.
More like, wasn't there, like, a buttload of rape? Like, I thought there was just, like, all the rape.
No, not that I'm aware of, but I don't know. There's a challenge too because Beauty and the Beast has been written so many different ways and times that it's kind of hard to find what the original story is and where it came out of. I was doing some research on it for I forget what reason, where I was just reading some of the background, and even in a lot of the research they had trouble kind of identifying the original story, and so there are a lot of variations of it. But to the Disney version, which is kind of a distillation of most of the main ones, and works forward with kind of the overall story that exists. But in it, for the animated one, essentially the overall story of father's coming back after running into the wolves and wants to get a rose for Beauty because that's the one thing she asked for from when he goes to market. In doing so, tries to pluck one from the beast's garden. He takes offense, locks him up. And I forget what the slight differences between the animated and this, but in this one, live action, the horse runs back alone to town, and she sees and says, "Oh my gosh, where's my father?" Goes after, finds the castle, finds him, and exchanges herself for him in the beast's care, basically, or for the beast to hold, and sends her father away. And then the story goes from there about her generally falling in love with him over time, kind of thing. But like I said, the live action one I thought they did really well. I thought most of the like CG that they used was pretty good, although I will say they went over the top. There were some scenes where they went to a point where there was just too much happening in CG, where it felt like they just wanted to fill every part of the screen with something, and so it was a bit much. I mean, the CG was good, I just felt like they used too much. Like, why do you need this much happening? I thought the acting was fairly good. I thought the Beast, oddly enough, I thought the Beast was too pretty in the live action.
That's weird. I read something about that somewhere where there was like wasn't like a YouTube mums react or something like that where
I haven't seen that one if it is.
Oh, it's like a kid's talking to his mum, and that's one of the kid's criticisms is the beast should have been more ugly or whatever. And the mum's like, I thought he was really cute. And he was like, what? He was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind him being my like husband or whatever.
Geez.
And the kid was like, what the hell, mum? How dare you say something so disgusting or something? I don't know.
That's funny. That's like so, bad and funny at the same time. Where
that's the it's sort of furry-ish, isn't it? It's a little furry.
Oh, why you do that? Oh, that's why.
Oh, I thought you just kicked me off the show.
No, Sam was deciding to be a greater butt yet again, and so I had to do the whole like restart it so it would stop stuttering on us. So yes, Sam is continuing to try to take itself out of our life, and so
I'm happy to oblige.
Right, I know we'll probably have to find something soon with it once I find a moments of extra time. But yeah, no, Beast was way too pretty. What else was going on with that? So Beast was too pretty. Belle, I thought Emma did a good job, and the overall singing throughout I thought was pretty good. I had some people I talked to that said the pacing of the singing was a little off and that they would stop at certain points where the song originally just kind of flowed through. I think in some ways it was, one, to make it a little different than the animated, but two, I think it was because there were actors actually live acting part of it. And so in doing so...
And they need to breathe occasionally or something.
Well, breathe occasionally and just let part of the scene occur, minus the acting or the singing part of it. And so it fit kind of what was happening around them, and then they would continue to the song.
Oh, that makes sense to me.
And so I think for the most part that was all fine. The what was it? The next piece of it that, other than that, the biggest criticism that I think I had heard throughout the prior going to see it, and then actually seeing I could see what it was, is the costuming. And it really wasn't most of the costuming. Most of the costuming I thought was brilliant. I thought all of like what the Beast wore and most of the side characters all looked great. There was only one costume in the entire movie that was off, and that is the iconic gown that Belle wears in the dancing scene. And in the animated film, the key is it's a very beautiful, like, golden dress that's like this bright, beautiful, very just enveloping large golden dress. In the live action, it's this fairly plain yellow fabric dress with a little bit of gold like etching or a little bit of like embroidery on it. But other than that, it was just surprisingly a letdown from all of the rest of the costumes in it. Because all the rest of her dresses and other things looked great. And other gowns she wore later and stuff like that looked great. But the one iconic ballroom scene, it really fell flat. And as partially because Undine and I were talking about this, we were doing cosplay stuff, but we were talking, watching, and we were kind of like analyzing parts because we loved a lot of the other costumes we saw, and we're like, ooh, I could totally do that costume for a cosplay. Ooh, look at that one. That would be super fun. Oh, look at these. Oh, the three girls that chase after Gaston in the city and stuff, their costumes are amazing. Look at the hats they're wearing. All those were great. And so when it comes to this nice, slow, focused on just Beauty and the Beast together dancing, and the dance sequence was actually pretty darn good, but the dress was like, oh, well, that's a letdown. And that was just like the one criticism of that. But overall, I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people talked about how, Emma's singing was okay. It was better than I would have expected. The gentleman,
she's not a singer; she's an actress.
Exactly.
Not all actresses can sing, right? It's just
well, it's part of the discussion about whether people should turn around and cast more true to life, like Broadway singers, for some of these big acting roles, because they can act and sing, or whether they go with, and kind of the same criticism you get with all these movies, kind of when I was talking about Ghost in the Shell stuff, or do you get someone who has a draw, has a name, and hope they can pull it off enough for audiences to accept it. And that's kind of what I think happened here. Because as a whole, I enjoyed it.
Making money is generally more important for these kind of things, I would argue.
Well, it's part of the discussion, right? It's part of the equation as to whether it's going to fit Hollywood's need. But I enjoyed it. And so the only people I know who took any kind of that really picked on it were the hardcore Disney fanatics who had already judged almost everything they'd seen from the trailers, right? And even then, I'd say for the most part, it was good. So I enjoyed that. All right. Beyond that, yesterday, since I'll leave the little bit of it to Geek Cred, But yesterday, I tried to dance myself to death.
To death, you say?
To death, I say. And the reason I say is went to a concert locally over at Red Rocks, which is beautiful venue, right? Something that I recommend everyone check out if you ever come to Denver, because it's absolutely gorgeous. But in doing so, there was a concert in town that was for Global Dub Fest. And so dubstep music and a large, basically how many bands or groups were there, like 6 or 7? So, and most of these I would not recognize, although a lot of their music I did. But the artists were Templo, Armor, Wilkinson, which is a UK dubstepper, Spaghetti, which is basically spaghetti. Let's see, Illenium with Crizzy. And the headliner, which is one of the big ones to go to, was Flux Pavilion, which is, if you don't know the names of these artists, you will likely have heard many of their songs on the radio, just anywhere, in movies, games, other stuff like that. Their songs kind of are prevalent everywhere. So for those who do know dubstep, though, they'd be sad. And what? Did I just see that Copy just welcomed a wild Pusa into the IRC?
Oh, my. Hello, what? Lady Pusser.
Yes, we have not seen from Pusa in far too long. How are you doing? Good to see you here. So this event to happen at Red Rocks, gorgeous thing, is a little cool out since Colorado's still trying to decide if it's going to be summer or spring still. But we had snow last week, or during this week we had snow, and there was snow in the foothills right there. It went from the beginning of last week being like 80 degrees Fahrenheit here, so think, 30s-ish, down to freezing, essentially, throughout the week. And it's snow, rain and snow on, like, Wednesday and Thursday. So, yeah, it's been a crazy Colorado week. But it actually dried up and was fairly nice for the concert. So the problem my concert day was this thing started at 5 p.m., got there a little early, and it did not let out until, 12:30? Or so, and so it was a good 7-8 hours of dubstep. Yep, exactly.
It's a lot of dubstep.
It was a lot of dubstep.
I like some dubstep in very specific songs, but I can't say there's more than maybe 5-10 minutes of it. Not 10 hours or whatever, 8 hours.
This was a good amount, and part of I like to dance anyways, and dubstep does allow for the good dancing. Part of it also was that I took La Campette, El Campo's daughter, because she is a major advocate and fan of dubstep. So it was fun to take her there, one, because she didn't realize the names of some of these artists, but she recognized far more of the music than she thought she would, and she kind of freaked out for that. And I think this is her 3rd concert she's ever been to.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was one that I was kind of on the hook to go to anyways. Like, hey, I would go to a dubstep concert. It was more because El Campo and his wife were like, we hate dubstep. Oh, God, we would never take her. If you're willing, we will almost pay you. And so they didn't. I paid my own way, but it was fun to take her because I knew she'd enjoy it. So 2 of us went, and I basically danced all night. Now, I did want to bring up that before I get into my killing myself, the concert itself was tons of fun. Red Rocks is one of the most beautiful amphitheaters you could ever go to. It's basically a natural, perfect, acoustically set up amphitheater, so it sounds amazing.
Very nice.
It's got cool. It's a large enough venue to host a ton of people in it. This is all general admission, so we were just wandering all over the place. It's somewhat challenging in that you do have to hike up to it from where you park, so because the parking areas are kind of lower down the mountain. There's only ones that are up close to the venue or the handicap parking. And so everywhere else you park, and then it's a good uphill hike to get to the venue, just to even get to the bottom of the rocks that it's within, and then up this tall path to get into the actual amphitheater. So you get a little winded just getting there. But no, what I was more commenting on is that while I've been to a lot of concerts actually at Red Rocks, I'll go to any concert at Red Rocks. This being my first dubstep one, I'd gone to like Global Dance before, but this being specifically dubstep, the majority of the people who attended this concert were significantly younger than myself or others I'd be around normally.
Sir, I gotta say, that is not surprising.
I'm not saying I was surprised, but I was a little bit. Because I would say the average age there was probably 16 or 17.
That's very young. That's very young.
Now, admittedly, I may be off. I would say a lot of them were probably 18 to 20 or something like that. But I'm old enough that they all look like children to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there were actually, there were several that were closer to my age. I saw at least 2 guys that were older than me, or a couple couples around here and there. But I was definitely in that upper crust. And they so there was that, and even just from when we parked in the parking lot before it started, and we're sitting there, and the groups of kids running around, I was like, oh geez, this is going to be such a what do I want to say? A mess. I could already tell. In that there was a group next to me that were already pre-gaming hard, like a bottle of Jack Daniels and this and that. I looked at all of them. I was like, none of you are of age. Not possible. Not possible. And so they're all drinking. There were people jumping on each other's backs and like they're going to play chicken like on each other's shoulders and stuff and things like this. And it would have been fine except they were all interspersed amongst the cars. And like I noticed like at one point,
dumb.
Yeah, one of the kids was starting to lean on my car, my new car. And so I was like, so I put it in reverse and like backed out a little bit to give them room to have their shenanigans.
And a slight warning that, I am watching.
And the kid kind of looked at me like, oh. I was like, yeah, you ass. What are you doing leaning on random people's cars? God, I hate people who don't own stuff. Not respecting other people's stuff.
I'm drunk and I'm having fun, so I don't feel responsible. They
were just. It was
dumb.
I actually hung out around my car until most of them dispersed before deciding to head up to the venue. Just because I was like, oh, these idiots are just going to do something stupid. Because I could already see where like when they were playing chicken almost, how one of them could fall over and like fall on a car and dent in a hood or something like that. I was just like,
Jesus.
I'm trying not to be a fuddy-duddy and old and this and that, but I don't want you to ruin my crap.
Who gives a crap what people think of you, right?
Yeah, just little things. I was like, so anyhow, that was okay though. But again, those kind of kids being rambunctious and such was probably like the par for the course for everyone up there.
Sure.
So there were tons of just underage kids who were probably thrashed, as well as, and I kind of ran into this throughout the concert, gosh darn it, Colorado, while I am, by libertarian standards, happy that we have legalized pot, if only people actually followed the law associated with it, which is you can smoke pot, but not in public. Happen. It's the whole. It's just like anything. You can smoke pot, but not in public. The whole point is you're supposed to keep that to your house, this and that. Well, I know it's a concert and this and that, but this has to have been a concert where I ran into more stoned people than I think I've ever experienced in my life. And it may not just have been marijuana. I really don't think it was.
For dubstep, especially, I wouldn't.
Oh gosh,
I would expect it to be fairly.
People were on some things, and the reason I know people were on some things. Is because while I was there, and part of what led me to injuring myself, is that La Campette, the one thing she purchased while we were there, because I brought some like glow sticks and had just dressed comfortably beyond that, but is she picked up at a little thing, one of the stands there, some LED fingered gloves that you could click the back and they'd light up in the tips, a couple different modes and flashing and stuff like that. And she just really wanted them because she wanted stuff. I was like, all right, no problem. And prior to that, we had gotten her some stuff at Party City to kind of dress up for the part.
Yeah, cool.
And like had gotten some black spray paint for her hair, or not spray paint, hairspray for her hair, and like some really shiny eyelashes and stuff like that, just to get her all kind of partied up.
That's fun, yeah.
Even though she's like the most straight-laced girl out there, where she won't do any. She's advocately against like drugs of any kind, drinking underage.
Good for her.
She hates it. So the worst part is I had to shut her up half the time. Like, yes, I know you're against this, but don't constantly comment on everyone else around you.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, you are against it, right? Not them. That's the difference.
I was kind of like, you can feel that way. Just don't keep telling me when everyone around you is what you're complaining about. So she's like, what? I was like, yes.
So you choose to be there, right? That's the thing. You don't choose for them to be there. You choose to be there.
So anyhow, but going in there with those gloves, part of it is she practiced with them for a bit, and then eventually she gave them to me and was like, your turn, you use them. At which point I had a ball with them because I could do my whole finger dance piece of it with the gloves and stuff with the lights. It made it really cool. What was interesting, and again, the music, awesome. As I went to the later headliners, the effects they had, the lighting effects, awesome. Tons of fun. All the concert piece was great. It's the people that was interesting. The audience. I got asked multiple times to do light shows for people. With the finger.
I thought you were going to say if you had any drugs.
I was only asked to once, where one guy next to me asked if I would roll a joint for him, and I was like, no, like what? And yeah, and then as pot users will do, because I assume they're being friendly and trying to be nice to whoever's around them. You know, gal with little light up cat ears and with her boyfriend next to her turned to me when they rolled their joint and was like, and had some. They were like, what, like weed? And I'm like, no, thank you. And they were actually super nice about it. No, they were super nice about it. Well, I have my whole assumption that people who do smoke pot are usually some of the super most generous people. Like they will share their blunt all day long. But I think it's because they
just want to have fun. Yeah, they just want to chill.
Well, I also think it's because they know it's not right, and if the people around them also partake, then they don't feel bad. Because they're like, we're all smoking, so it's okay. Because the disadvantage of it is, holy crud, the amount of joints there and stuff I saw. Anyhow, I'll get to that. But the light show piece where I knew people were on things, multiple things, is because I would do I was just dancing, doing my thing. And I had twice guys just like stop in front of me and just stare for like an uncomfortably long amount of time. Whoa, just not moving. Man. Well, and like one kid, the first one, was actually afterwards was like, dude, you're awesome. That's great. And just kind of thumbed up me. The other guy was this tall dude, and he just stood there for like an entire song watching me. And afterwards, he just walked.
Fairly uncomfortable.
He just walked on. Well, by the time I started figuring out what was going on, because I had also like a group of 3 behind me ask for a light show, and then I had another gal come up in front of me and ask for a light show, and then so I was asked specifically multiple times, and thankfully almost everyone who did was pretty complimentary about my dancing in general, but also the light show. You know, go figure, I can dance with the music versus just going blah. I can actually meet a beat and kind of do whatever I'm going to do with it. So it's fun.
Sure it's great for them, yeah.
So yeah, I'm assuming every one of them was on something beyond marijuana that wanted to see pretty lights in their face. But yeah, anyhow. So part of the challenge was
a lot of ecstasy at these kind of gigs usually.
I'm assuming the case. I really am. And so having fun with all that, and I have to admit, when I have an audience, I will try harder and really go into it. And I was dancing beyond what my ears would suggest I'm capable of, and out dancing most of the kids that were there. I did see a couple gals there that I was like, I ain't even come close to you, because you are on something that makes you that aggressive and fast, or wow, right? But there were a couple that were, well, just the way they were dancing, like just hardcore into the music, where I was like, wow. Because I at least knew this was like a 7+ hour concert, so I paced myself and was able to so starting off like the music and little slow bits where it's like, oh, I'm hitting the music, but I'm not going nuts because I've got a few hours.
Yeah, that wouldn't be ecstasy. That would probably be speed, right? That's something. That's what that would probably be.
Or they're just they're young and really into the music, right? Who knows? But then
maybe
because I had a few where I definitely was like boom, boom, really going hard, and probably too hard, because come the end of the concert, I felt my age and then some. Where today, like after the concert, I felt it because there's a twinge towards the end where I was like, my wrist hurts a little bit. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to take it easy now. Today, it feels like I must have strained something on the inside of my wrist that I don't even know, muscle, tendon, something, but strained so bad, it just hurts. Constantly hurts right now. And I tried massaging something, I can't tell. It's something like right in here that just, ow. So somehow, dancing with nothing but gloves on, I like pulled my wrist. The other thing I did
Were
is
they heavy gloves?
they were just little knit gloves. Nothing. It's just how hard I was moving. I hurt myself. The other side of that is I also hurt myself in my left knee because walking out of the venue where it's all downhill, I felt like my knee was going to collapse the whole time. It just hurt. Just hurt. And so I tried to dance myself to death. I really did. I will say, on a positive note, and you can see on the table behind me, I have my blue shoes there. Those are for my next costume coming up, my Brock costume. And one of the nice things I said, these shoes are meant for dancing because they're shoes that actually have a button I can push that helps light up the base. The sole of them lights up.
That's cool.
And so I decided to take them to the venue to partially break them in. And it actually worked really well. My feet did not hurt after the concert, and that was 7 hours of dancing. And the best part,
that was a dangerous game, by the way. This like getting new shoes and then going out for an 7 hour thing is.
I figured I'd bust them in this time before going this coming weekend to Anime North. Where I'll be wearing them all weekend, and so I figured let me give them a shot at least once. But I got so many compliments on those shoes where people are just like, "What?" There were at least 5 or 6 other people that had basically these same kind of shoes. You can find them online for nothing, and that's kind of the funny thing. The shoes are like cheap as heck. They're like $30. You can get a pair of shoes for $30 that are high tops and actually pretty damn comfortable that have all the lighting effects. And so, yeah.
It's cool.
Just if you want some of them,
I don't know if you can get them here. That sounds really cheap for something around here.
They were surprisingly inexpensive. Well, they'd be $30, so like, 18, 20 pounds. But then tariffs,
you get the
import
same
tax.
of the same price, so it'll be £30, yeah.
Exactly. Everything else would make it 10 times more over there. So, but the shoes came out awesome, which I was really happy. But yeah, I just have to reiterate, like, gosh darn it, Colorado, why so many drugs? This was ridiculous. To the point that as soon as I got home, I had to strip everything off of me and go take a bath and wash my hair and stuff. And I think I can still, now the hair is mostly good, but I think I still caught whiffs of, something that had, that little bit of pot smell where I'm just like, ugh. Disadvantage to have the long curly hair. It soaks up scent like nobody's business. So I feel disgusting coming home after a concert. All right, so that was that. And to kind of finalize what I was doing that wasn't geeky this week, just because, I'm old and broken, and why not make it worse, is I did the last stage of helping my friend and his wife move, where last week I had moved the stuff into the storage unit. Well, this morning, before the show, went back to the storage unit to help fill up their truck that they're going to get to move out east. To actually move stuff
you
east.
remember saying this last week, yeah.
So we had this interesting challenge going forward. So when we started moving everything into the U-Haul we started with, it was like a 16-foot U-Haul. So 16-foot long storage area with a 8-foot wide storage area, right? Or something like that on the truck. Plenty of room. Got everything in there, not a big deal. The storage unit we moved it into was a 10 by 10 unit. And so it was shorter, but wider, and so we lost some space, but got everything in the storage unit. Well, the big semi-truck that we put it in, it's an interesting concept they do with this company where you pay by the foot of the storage that you use in the back of it, and so that way they can actually section out multiple people's things in one move, and then move them all at once. Well, so in this case, it was how wide was it? Like an 8 or 10 foot wide, but 5 foot depth. And so we went from a 10 by 10 now to a 5 by 10 with all the same amount of stuff. And so where previously we were able to kind of just move everything and have some room to move around, this time we really had to Tetris things and build up and get it up to the tall ceiling of this semi-trailer. And so we managed. We got everything from pared down to all fit in this place and just kind of stacked and in there and boom, boom, boom. The problem, though, was because my wrist and knee are both jacked, I was very limited in how much I could manipulate things and move them around. And so thank goodness my buddy Mike was there to help as well. So because there were several things he had to carry where I just couldn't, or help manipulate up above our heads to get it up to that 10 feet tall. But we did manage and got it all in there. Did that this morning, but oh my gosh, am I sore and I don't know. So I'm having a drink, and I'm just ready to like not move the rest of the day.
Sounds like it was well earned, sir. I mean, you've had a quite busy week and quite a stressful one for your body.
Yeah, I'm old. I it's funny because I was telling that I constantly was kind of saying that around La Campette, and she's just like, "You're not old. You're not old until you're 60." I was like, "Yeah, maybe not actual age, but man, if my body is not reminding me that I'm not the spring chicken I used to be." And
it happens to the best of us, sir. I felt similar this weekend. I was like, "Oh, geez, I drank last night and I actually feel the effects today. What's going on?" I remember that wasn't a thing a few years ago.
Right. So the worst part is I have so much I have to accomplish this week before I go to Anime North because I fly out to Thursday morning, and I am not prepared. I'm on track.
You are not prepared.
But I have a lot to accomplish before I get there. So I got some work to do. Anyhow, that's all for my non-geek this week for Dysfunctional Deviations. We're going to go ahead and get ready to go to our break, where in support of dubstep, I'm going to play some gaming music with a dubstep twist to it. And because what happened with Sam for this show is that somehow it lost connectivity to my network drives where normally I'd pull things from.
Right,
so I had to go find my local copies of everything to run it. But in doing so, I don't have the bumpers that I usually run from copy on my local drive right now. So I will do it somewhat on the fly as we go into the break here to say that, hey, send in your emails.
To ShowX
No,
on
that's after.
VT.productions.com.
That's after. That's after the song. Before the song, I always remind people that you should send in your emails for your Geek Cred so that we can talk about it after the break to showx@vtwproductions.com. So with that, we're going to be listening to this OC remix song coming from Tegan Bear called Big Bad Koopa Dubstep. And we will be back right after this.
to ShowX live on VTWProductions.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. So, yes, that was a fun little dubstep song, and it felt reminiscent of last night / this morning. But yes. All right, so
I saw
now
your dancing, yes. I don't know if they saw that, but I saw the dancing. You missed out, guys. It was glorious.
Except that the whole time I'm sitting here, gosh, my wrist hurt. Gosh, my wrist hurt. Gosh, like, I shouldn't be doing
Can't
this.
hurt that much. You're still doing it.
I say that. It's just like yesterday. I will push past the pain in the adrenaline. You know, it's like when I had twisted my ankle at the beginning of Zombie Crawl and then spent 3 hours walking around on it like a zombie because it was the beginning. I couldn't just leave. That's the kind of fool I tend to be. Yep, that's the fool I tend to be. Anyhow, welcome back to the show, guys, and it is time for us to get into some Geek Cred. So, Ken, what have you been doing that is geek-related this week?
Good question, sir. Because I don't think I actually wrote anything down for this section for some reason.
I saw one
I have
thing.
a question for people, actually. So I have been seeing a lot of news about Prey, the new game out, Prey, which is, I believe, a continuation of the original Prey, which was a bit of a weird game. Basically, it was... Oh, geez, how do you even explain Prey? It was this game where you're like the descendant of American Indians, and you're hanging about in this, I can't remember if it's a casino or if it's just like a lodge or something, but you're hanging about in like your granddad's lodge or something, and you're like this like 20-year-old guy, and you're trying on with a girl, and some asshole comes in, you tell him to bugger off because he's being an asshole, and he leaves, and then it's just got a little tiny pre-story, and
You get
then there's a giant alien invasion, and you get sucked up onto the ship.
You get abducted.
Yeah, and the whole thing seems to become very sci-fi, and you're like, oh, I've got to escape this alien ship and stuff. But then you start having these like Native American spiritual visions of like your spirit animal, and you start getting like magic bows that you can use that are made out of spirit stuff. And it's just a bit crazy. It's a bit of an experience.
But the original Prey was actually a pretty darn good FPS, and it was one of these ones that kind of came out of left field, where it was the beginning of its own little thing. It wasn't a franchise at the time. It was just its own one-off. It was actually pretty good. It was surprisingly solid gameplay and an interesting side premises.
So I was just curious, who's actually played the most recent one? I've seen a bit of news about it, but that's the thing. Gaming news is usually based on how much money they're getting. So, like as we'll be talking about Destiny 2, which has got a large number of articles, but I don't know if it warrants that.
Well,
we'll see.
So I will tell you up front that I played the beta on my Xbox One and of the new Prey, which you're not necessarily a Native American thing, and actually has much more of a, not a Portal 2 feel, but sort of. It's got a, you start in an experiment kind of environment thing, which is kind of interesting, at least in the demo. And my challenge was the demo on the Xbox, I might have talked about before, was that it was pretty enough, I guess. Although it's hard to say, but yeah. But because it was on console, it was like,
yeah.
And both because of the control scheme and arguably because I think it looked like crap on the Xbox One compared to what I know it would look like on my PC.
Sure.
Just because even though they're trying to run it at 1080, it really felt like things were a little glossy and not quite as high textured as they could be. And so I just, the whole time I was playing it, I was like, I wish this was on the PC. But oh, look, you guys didn't provide a demo on the PC. Of course not. Because that would be too
money
smart. And so I still have hope for it because I think it looks like it'll be a damn good game. And so I am curious to know if others are playing it. Because at least the nice thing is it's on PC. I just only touched it on console. And I say this as I have no time to play any video games ever, but I'm still interested in it. Who knows, maybe I'll just add it to my digital collection like so many others.
Yes, indeed. I'm very much the same. So I really...
We just completely lost you via roboting. So, do the restart the call thing here. Come back to us, Ken! Come back, Ken! Ken! Wow. That might have been fully his interwebs if he's not coming back to us. No, I don't want to leave a message. I want Ken to come back. Because you guys can all still hear me, right? Looks like I'm still broadcasting out and everything's working. But it looks like Ken's side has completely died. That's an odd one. Hopefully that means he will call me back here momentarily. Because I don't know what happened there. That is kind of odd. Yeah, in the meantime, he was about to switch things up and talk about more, but I don't know. So as long as you guys can still hear me, we'll continue on, and hopefully Ken will come back to us. So I guess I can start searching into mine, and I'm actually looking. Let's see. Ken, are you in IRC? How dead is the internet, or is he really here?
Apologies with that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Right, so what happened was first of all, my computer crashed. Can you hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah, just a second. I'm bringing everything back up.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty. Well, that was fun. So what happened? So don't worry, Ken. It wasn't just you. Yeah.
Really?
No, mine crashed right after yours.
That makes no sense. Talking away with whatever I was talking about, and then I sort of realized the background music had disappeared, and I was like, "Can you hear me?" And then I didn't hear anything, and I was like, "Oh crap!" So I reset my machine because it seemed to be frozen at that point. And then I turned it back on. Then for about 2 minutes after that, I had no internet connectivity at all. I was like, that's weird because my phone does. I checked the Wi-Fi on my phone and it worked fine. So I ran the Windows diagnostic thing and it actually fixed it. It said that there was a problem with the default gateway, but we fixed it. It's fine. It just took a couple minutes for it to run. First time I've ever seen the Windows diagnostic actually work.
Actually
so
do
that was
something.
Yeah. Other than say, I've pinged 7 times and it's still not working. That's as far as it does, but I actually saw the problem. Which also means it was the cause of the problem, right? Like, if Windows can fix itself, then Windows caused the problem. That is the key of it.
Oh my gosh.
So that was rather annoying. So I do apologize for that. I don't know why that happened.
Oh.
But anyway, I was saying... Everything okay?
I think so. It just took a second where things were hicking up, and I was like, oh, "Don't you do it!"
I think we're just catching up there. That was okay. Okay, so what I was saying was I've been playing Diablo 3, and as I said in the past few weeks, I started off playing on normal difficulty, and I found it very boring and easy. And so I've ramped up to expert, and I still find it easy. It's still fairly easy. Then eventually I got my mage to quite a high level on seasonal on expert, so it's even higher difficulty than just expert because seasonal has extra stuff apparently. But it was a new character that I started, and she's now level 48, I think. I leveled up very quickly with her because you get loads more extra XP in expert and even more in the seasonal. And I decided to try adventure mode. Now, adventure mode allowed me to do stuff like levels far ahead where I was in the actual campaign. I'm on Act 2, and I ended up going to like Act 4 or something. I don't know. And yeah, I just instantly started getting legendaries left, right, and center. Just a bunch of rare items, legendaries, and stuff. And then suddenly, I was even more overpowered than I already was. I unlocked the mage spell Disintegration. I think we talked about this last week, actually. I still have no need to use any other spell. To be fair, I also have one utility spell, which is to teleport, and that helps me run a little bit faster so I can keep up my combo streak with disintegration. I just have no need for anything else. I go up to a boss, I pull all the mobs that I can possibly nearby, I teleport far away, blast them with the disintegration ray, and everything dies within 5 seconds. Everything. There's no strategy. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to worry. I don't need to run away. If the thing starts hitting me, I'm like, you can't kill me as fast as I can kill you. So it's just.
Doesn't like every character in there have so much regen, like on the items and armor and stuff like that they get? Because whether I was my voodoo doctor or whatever, and my what was the other one I have? I have barbarian, I think, or something like that. Everything, it seemed like at once, was all like meant to regen so much health that it was almost not an issue.
I couldn't tell you. All I know is that I don't really get hit that much. Usually things die before they get to me.
Gotcha.
But all I can tell you is that I just have no need for any defense. I don't even stack any defense anymore. Like, any gems I get is pure damage. Any items I get is pure damage. And it makes things slightly faster to kill it even faster. And that's it. That is my life now in this game. And it's fine. It works completely and utterly fine.
Full deeps.
Yeah, and so I'm just kind of hoping. I'm thinking we're just dumping the adventure mode, which I have been enjoying, and just concentrating on the actual campaign, so that I can finish it, so I can bump up the difficulty again. Because right now it's just too easy.
Apparently, the game doesn't start until you've beaten it multiple times, and you get to the whatever mode where you're going down tiers and tiers of something. You keep going into whatever like level of depth of the infinite dungeon or something, and to see how high up you can make it, and that's when it gets hard. Because I've heard some kind of level system in that for how difficult it becomes with, Earth might be one of the ones, but also Torment. That's it. Torment X and higher. That as you go up, there's just higher levels of Torment or something that you can play.
Can I play that now? Can I get into it in that area now? Dude, or anything like adventure mode? Does anybody know?
It is one of my problems with Diablo 3. It is too damn easy. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what Blizzard was thinking.
Like, maybe if I play it, I'm playing Mage, to be fair, which is just pure DPS anyway. Maybe if I played something like the tank class, whatever that one is again, Templar or Crusader. If I played that, I would it'd be more difficult, because even though I can, I've got more defenses. It means I've got less offense, which will hopefully make it a bit more difficult. I don't know. So if anyone has any recommendations for that, because I am enjoying it for now. I'm just enjoying running around and just killing stuff, getting loot.
Destroying everything.
It's going to get old. That's going to get old eventually. Also, I kind of dislike the fact that there's no point in me changing my build. Like, why would I ever possibly move away from Disintegration Ray when it is just way more powerful than anything else? I've tried all the other spells that I've unlocked thus far, and every time I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I try, I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but it does, like, DPS-wise, it does like a fifth of Disintegration Ray. There's just no point.
Like I said, so on the Witch Doctor one, it was changing between like exploding frogs and what was the other one I actually kind of liked better? It might have been the spiders, I think, because they just kind of run out and do everything. And plus when you get your minions that start forming on everything, it's just kind of like, so I just sit back here and they kill everything.
I actually, that was my main class. I had like level 30 or so Witch Doctor, and that's exactly why I stopped. I was like, what is the point in being here and playing this class? Because I run around and my dogs kill everything. I don't even need to do anything at all other than that. It was just getting really dull. So I feel you.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, maybe is it more difficult with more people as well? Because if that's
the
case,
a bit, but it's not like oh my god. And as Earth is saying, it's all about how high of a torment level you get to, where actually the difficulty begins, and it's a question of how high you can get in them. I think Blizzard's model for Diablo was off, in that they were so focused on, it's kind of like raids, right? They're all so stuck and tainted by WoW that all they can imagine or think is raids, and so Diablo is essentially story mode in WoW, which, as you see, there's no real difficulty and it doesn't really matter. The whole point is to get to endgame as fast as possible so that you can play the, quote, real game, which is only Torment, to see how high level Torment you could go. which in WoW, it's
That's a
how
dumb model.
quickly you can get to raids, and then so that you can just raid.
Well, okay,
But
WoW,
I mean,
WoW's
it's
fine
the
for me,
model
'cause
they focus on.
Okay,
And I think that's
yeah.
where they put all the effort.
Yeah, I mean they've screwed up because in WoW it's actually good doing the leveling and stuff. In this, it's a bit dull.
Well, they just made it too easy.
Yeah, if they just made it slightly more difficult, or made it that like specializations actually meant something, then it'd be more fun. Like if like I could specialize in more like ice damage, then I'd probably use more ice stuff, and then that would be that. But it just there's no need. I have absolutely zero need to do that. So why try, right?
Yep.
Whatever. So yeah, I've been playing Diablo. Other than that, I picked up a couple of Bluetooth devices for my car, which I've been enjoying.
Nice.
So now it's cool actually. I've never really played with Bluetooth that much because I just think of it as a dead technology and just haven't really touched it in a long time. But it is still useful for things like car stereos and stuff. So I set up my IFTTT so that whenever I connect this NFC tag to my phone, whenever it beeps that, it turns on my Bluetooth. And whenever my Bluetooth turns on, I have an IFTTT set up to start playing music on Spotify. So, meaning every time I get in my car, I attach my phone to the little magnetic holder thing, and it instantly starts playing music, which is really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really useful. So that's cool, and I've been enjoying that. Other than that, I've not done much else at all. I finally put my whiteboard on my wall, but that's not very interesting. Yeah, that's my whole Geek Cred, I'm afraid.
That is
that's all I've been
okay.
up to.
Well,
So, what are you up to, sir?
so little things here and there. One of the things I did is, as I was spending way too much money online, getting stuff for cosplay and then other random things, one of the random things I picked up was a USB dock for Sigma lenses for camera. And so I have a couple Sigma lenses, but the only one that actually worked with it is my little 18 to 35 1.8 lens that I shoot. It's the one I mainly use for conventions because that 1.8 gives in a lot of light. And with it, Sigma has a thing where they have this USB dock that you can plug a lens into, and you can actually update the firmware on the lens, which is something that traditionally has been like you could only do for a camera itself for the body.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before, actually.
Yeah, and so this one, they've done it, and like the version I had was the original 1.0 on the lens because I got it pretty early after it launched. And now it's up to 1.03, essentially, on this firmware update, which is supposed to clean up some of the autofocus points on and such, and theoretically allow it to focus cleaner onto whatever's actually in front of it. That's some better understanding of the overall optical path of the lens. As well as they allow you, and I haven't messed with this at all, to manually customize it where you can back off or kind of tweak a lot of the ways that the autofocus works. And so if you actually play with the lens itself, you can probably calibrate it down to a very precise level and kind of adjust where the autofocus hits and such on it. So something that I need to play with more, but I now need to go shoot a little bit. I did some before and afters with the firmware, but I haven't really looked into how different those shots were. But I'm hoping as a whole that'll help. So that was interesting.
And speaking of which, we could also, if you don't mind me doing so, tie in the art contest here. So for those interested, we have extended the art contest onto next month for the reasons of
we're terrible about managing our time.
Yeah, that was my bad. But there you go. Whatever. We now have it so that it is next month. So if you want to take part, there's still a fair bit of time. What is it exactly? It's 2 weeks today. 2 weeks today until it's due, the 4th of next month. Perfect. So go take part. We've got. I still plan to, but I didn't bring my camera with me this weekend, so I need to go do something soon.
I at least threw some in there, and I think all mine were from Japan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I at least participated, and we have a few others in there right now already. But feel free to jump into the art contest and let your friends know. We also shared it on social media. If you follow Show X on Facebook, you can repost or share our link from there that advertises the art contest as well. Remember, our contest is for anybody of any kind of artistic value. It can be artistic in the sense of language. It can be photography. It can be artwork. It can be crafting. Any of the kind of things you do that is creative. And so you should check that out.
Very well said. Very true. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nope, that is good. Beyond that, so I said, I tried to kill myself dancing. The other thing I'm going to try to kill myself with here is cosplay. Because now that I am down to essentially 3 productive days, maybe 4 including today, of getting everything done for heading to Anime North, I have a lot to do. I have all the base parts of my costume for Brock, but the 2 major components I need to do is I need to finish the external vest, which is kind of one of the signature pieces for him, and I need to do the wig, which is also a signature piece. And so I have everything for it. It's just a process. So I put together my mock-ups of my vest, where I did the paper mock-up. I transferred that over to fabric. The fabric I have cut out and shaped, did the first fitting of it, and basically worked. And I'm now disassembling that mock-up, and I'm going to use those pieces in effort of saving time as the inner lining to my overall one. And now I'm going to go back through and trace and cut out the outer layer of my vest from those pieces, and then figure out how to assemble all of them into an actual thing. In the meantime, or while I'm doing it, I also have to pattern some pockets, which I've never done before. Thankfully, I had an inspiration of how I could do it, and so hopefully that'll work. But part of what caused me some issue lately was I was trying to do this is that my sewing machine was suddenly having issues stitching through this fabric. I don't know if the fabric's too thin and light or what, but it was binding up constantly. And so I'm hoping that when I get all the layers together and try to do it, it'll act better, because I really don't think I'd have time to hand sew this thing.
Jeez.
I need to finish figuring out how to do this vest with an inner lining and with padding in the middle of it. Yay. And somehow figure out the wig, which I'm probably going to use my cheaper of the wigs I have and just make it serviceable, so since it's already mostly the right length. But yeah, so I'm expecting to do this blitz on cosplay here. I need to at least get the primary costume done, and then if I have bonus time, which will be difficult, try to make at least 1, if not 2 more versions of the same costume. So that's happening.
That's a good
stuff
point.
to make pockets too. Shoot. So yeah, I've got still a bit to do on that, but it's coming along, and that's honestly what I'll be doing after the show today is just straight cosplay. Busy. As well as I've still been hanging out, and like I said, with Zenko Akko cosplay with Undine and Matthew. We were watching Beauty and the Beast and staying up late, kind of their place, working on things. It seems like whenever I do hang out with them, I hang out with them for hours and hours.
You were saying yes. Yeah.
This time, what's nice is I went in for my, not final fitting, but one of the later ones for my Dezel cosplay from Tales of Zestiria that she's working on. And it is coming together nicely. It looks pretty amazing. Cool. Still have to do the top hat for it. Some details on that. Add some straps for his overalls, essentially. And detail the boots. And it's pretty close. Then add some belts. And she actually still has a lot to do, but it's down to detail pieces for the most part. She made a glove that worked really well. And then she's got to make the other side glove, which is a little different. But that, and add some belts, and it'll be mostly done, which is nice. So I'm excited for it. The challenge being, I need to also stop eating since now to start running and stuff to get ready for the event in June, because even though, and it's funny, Undine was kind of giving herself crap saying because she's trying to custom make it for me, it's a little snug in the jacket. Everything else fits well. The jacket, I feel like if I lost about 15 pounds, it would probably fit really well. So it works, but I'm a fat ass, So
in other words, it's a good way to encourage yourself to go and do some more exercise. So that's not a bad thing, sir.
It isn't.
Think of it's an opportunity in disguise. That's what anything bad is. It's an opportunity in disguise, right?
Well, the nice thing is that the dancing was definitely exercise. I do need to keep running more, which I might do here. But yes, all of this together, I need to accomplish many things to get myself better, while hopefully not overdoing it and breaking myself.
Well, sir, I've not really mentioned much on the show, but I started using MyFitnessPal about 3 weeks ago.
I saw that you had posted kind of a thing for who else had one. or something?
Yeah. I was trying to see if any friends wanted to add me, just so they could keep. It adds a little slight level of embarrassment if you add something like a Domino's or whatever, and right, you're like, oh geez, I screwed up, and you don't want people to see that. But you have to be truthful in these things if you want to be accurate, right? So you have to put in that I ate crap today, I drank too much, I ate too much, whatever.
You mean that me like finishing off boxes of Girl Scout cookies is not helping, as I ordered too many for my nieces because I have too many nieces. And now I'm trying to crush them all so I can maybe change my diet.
Sure, it was an accident. You totally didn't mean to buy all those.
Trust me, actually, it was kind of making up for me doing horrible at Christmas. But at the same time, it's one of those where I now have the boxes and don't want to just give them away, and so I need to eat them, because if they're in the house and I start dieting, I'll eat them during diet and totally ruin it. And so it's the preemptive, let's get really fat before I start to diet. That makes sense, right?
Kind of. Vaguely.
I am horrible. So horrible. Oh, but anyhow, I mean that. So between that, like the cosplay thing's been really everything I'm trying to do. But the last thing I wanted to make sure I pimped out today was Tom Badguy. He lately has been streaming a lot on Twitch, and I don't know if people have checked out the VTW gaming channel on Twitch. But I basically, all of those members of VTW who have a Twitch channel in stream, I have put as something that VTW will automatically start streaming them when they come on. And so we've partnered with, I think we have like 8 or 10 streamers on VTW Gaming at the moment. Which is another thing, if you do stream and want to be included on that list, let me know. I could add you on the VTW Gaming channel. But lately, Tom's been doing a lot. He's also been posting his streams on the front of the VTW page, homepage, if you go check those out. But the one he was doing most recently, let's see, what was it called? It wasn't Bad Dudes. It was River City Ransom Underground, which is a multiplayer online version of River City Ransom that he was playing with our friend Ben Bullock, DJ Bullock. And I watched some of that stream as he was playing. It actually looked pretty fun. But that, and prior to that, he was doing Dragon Quest Heroes and such. So he's actually been streaming a lot recently. I got to watch him do DuckTales and stuff like that. So check that out.
Oh, cool. The thing is, regardless of the game that he plays, Tom Badguy's fun to listen to in general, right? So even if he's playing something you've not heard of or something you're not interested in or whatever, you'll probably enjoy watching anyway, just because it's fun to listen to. Yes. And that's the same with most of these kind of things, right? You don't listen for the. It's like watching Top Gear when you're not a car fan. You watch it for the people. You don't actually watch it for the cars. Right?
For the most part, yes. Absolutely. So I'm pimping that out because he's been very, very prolific lately, and I added him to the overall stream. But you can check him out at twitch.tv/Tom_Badguy. Or if you want, you can check out the VTW Gaming channel on Twitch, as well as if you look at our front page at VTWProductions.com, you can see some of the posts whenever he does go on there. So check those out. All right, with that, it is time for us to switch channels and get over to the Geekoscope to talk about some news. So now it is time for technology, news, and more today on the Geekoscope. So, as we get into it, Ken, do you have a topic to start us off?
I have several, actually, sir. Awesome. However, due to the fact that my PC crashed, I just realized it's logged me out of everything automatically, right. So give me one moment.
Well, so as you get into those, I'll start off with one real quick one. It's a little older, but it was just a kind of a technology thing. And that was that one of the very popular games that's been out recently, and one I'd actually like to play, is Square Enix's Final Fantasy 15. Now, the challenge is, of course, I do not own a PlayStation 4. And this is a only on PlayStation kind of game. And there's a couple of those out there, so it is exclusive. But one of these interesting things that came out is that, essentially on Final Fantasy 15, it's not announced for the PC yet, but a development team has indicated on more than one occasion that it's planned or played around with the platform. And lately, they released a tech demo that was using high-end PC hardware. It says Squeenix has been working in conjunction with NVIDIA on the latest version of Final Fantasy XV's engine, Luminous Studio Pro. The video, which is included in this link from GameStop, which was shared during a talk at Game Developers Conference, shows off a tech demo of what's possible with the engine. In addition to improved visuals, they say that they show that some of the other things that aren't in the console version of the game, what's included in that is sort of a monster truck version of the Regalia driving across a field of Duscae, a particularly fluffy cat, and a battle at Listalum.
particularly fluffy cat. I like that.
Well, so I think it's because they're using some of the effects for fur and some of the other effects like that they don't have on the console, that they're able to use with NVIDIA's latest technology on the PC. And so
makes sense.
It talks about that a lot of the series has been ported to the PC in the past, and so there's a high hope that something like this could work on PC. And they said that everything in the video was captured on a 1080 Ti, which admittedly is a very expensive piece of hardware. But I did watch the video before, and the link in the IRC there. It is pretty, and you just kind of see where, yes, why wouldn't a developer want to use all of this technology to make amazingly pretty games? Essentially, the game's already made. It's already in the engine.
Several reasons.
Well, but I mean, they already have built the game. It is literally just porting it to PC and just enabling new technology that already exists in the engine. And that's where it's just like, it seems like an instant win. Because I would probably buy Final Fantasy 15 today on the PC versus on console.
You know what, I probably would too, because I have never played the series, and I've heard quite a lot of good things with this one. So even though it's kind of anime and kind of cringy.
Well, it is definitely anime, and I'm actually on the video stream showing some of the technology they had used, where they talked about like lighting effects and things like that, and just showing the PC engine of it. That it just looks. I mean, they really get into the technology of it. Some of the different color of lighting and how light progresses through the world, stuff like that, that they just did not do on the console. Let alone the ability for characters to move through like very complex terrain and stuff like that. Just really slick. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit on it, where they're showing some of the world and how they're creating the engine itself to fill it out. Things that we take for granted on PC now, about like moving grass and stuff like that. To some of the lighting conditions and things, and just the particle effects and everything. They're kind of going through the evolution of the engine, and towards the end of it, they get to 2017, where they're really showing how much it's improved with lighting, reflection, open world aspects of it that you just they couldn't do on the console. It was too locked in, and so
of course, as you would expect. By the fact the consoles are already massively out of date,
Yep. And so, anyhow, that's what that is. And so, I am hopeful that them showing that the engine's compatible with high-end PC gear, that maybe that'll push in that extra step to say, all right, let's release it on PC. So, all right, sir, what do you have for us?
Well, several things. Let's start off with this one. Now, this is a big maybe. It's not news. It is a potential leak. It's not been confirmed, as far as I'm aware.
Uh-oh.
The next World of Warcraft expansion has possibly been leaked from the Irvine offices. The expansion details. The name is going to be Rise of the Naga Empire. The main villains will be Azshara and Nuzgoth. The Burning Legion has diverted the attention of the heroes of Azeroth away from their homelands. As the war wages on Argus to stop the Legion, Azshara continues her preparations in carrying out the will of Nzoth by readying an invasion that will cover every continent on the planet. The Naga Empire has been building its forces and patiently waiting for the perfect time to strike. Using a twisted form of black magic and power granted to her from Nzoth, Azshara will carry out a ritual that will cause the submerged Naga Empire to rise from the depths. Good, meaning it won't be underwater. That was pretty smart, actually. Both the Horde and Alliance are unprepared for such an attack. Even though they've got more, they are 95. You think the US military spending is bad? I bet the Horde and Alliance military spending is 99.999. They do not have an infrastructure. They don't build roads. They don't do many buildings. They just have war. That's pretty much that's the only employment you can have on Azeroth without, any risk of death. With lots of risk of death. In order to defend the lands that the factions of Azeroth hold dear, both major factions must band together, yada yada yada. Even amid the hatred both feel for each other. So that's our generic plot they've been using a few times now. Inventions created by the gnomes and adopted by the goblins will be created and refined to help curtail the invading Naga. Gifted and mechanically intelligent gnomes and goblins will pilot massive suits of armor and will be instrumental in holding off the Naga invasions. These tinkers will be looked at by the rest of the Horde and Alliance as essential to the military efforts that will greatly help the tide of battle and the turd of battle. So you may have guessed by that final part that they're hinting at there's going to be a new class called the Tinker class, which is going to effectively be glorified engineers who run around in giant metal suits. Pretty cool idea, to be fair, because it takes away the fact that you're going to be a crappy gnome, right? Or a crappy goblin. That's the only time I'd be tempted to play one of those stupid freaking races, is that you're running around in a giant suit of armor. That's pretty awesome. So the major features will be the level cap would be raised to 120. There's a new race of Naga, which is neutral. A splinter faction of Naga unwilling to succumb to the Old God's Whispers. They defect from Ajara's ranks and choose to either join the Horde or Alliance. A new class of Tinkers, which is going to be a tank and DPS specs available. A new neutral city of Undermine, that's been rumored for years as well. A new mount type of boats. With the help of goblins and gnomes, players will be able to create their own boat in the initial leveling stage of the expansion. Faster boats will be able to be found as mount drops off bosses. That's a kind of fun idea. I mean, like we already have a lot of flying and stuff, but boats could be quite an interesting one, actually. Maybe if they added waves. If they added waves, that would be awesomely fun, right? Because right now you're just running on water, right? It's just completely placid water, and you're running.
It's all flat. Yep.
Yeah, it's boring. If they added real waves and you actually had to like ride the waves and stuff, that could be so cool. I'd really enjoy that, actually. Because wind's boring in the game already. Race-specific houseboats will be able to be created and customized by players. Houseboats, Jesus. Are we gonna create like a trade caravan system or something? What's going on here? Faction allegiance system allows Horde and Alliance players to undergo a series of quests and events that eventually allows them to group together, unlocks count-wide. Okay. With that's actually a good idea with the numbers of eventually they're gonna have to do this anyway, because WoW is not going to live forever, right? You need to make the what player base you have link together. So I'm not surprised this will eventually happen. 8 new zones. All new zones will have Legion level scaling tech, except for the ones indicated. I'm not going to bother reading through them all. Other major features would be 2 new battlegrounds, 1 new arena, 3 new raid zones available at launch with more in the patches later, 12 dungeons available at launch, 10 new, 2 being refreshed from previous expansion dungeons. Probably going to be the Tide of whatever it's called, like all the Naga ones, right? I wouldn't be surprised.
It
from
makes sense.
Cataclysm. Yeah.
Well, to tie it into continuity as well as update anything.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't actually have a problem with that. So long as you can sort of time travel, time warp to the old ones sometimes, like they do currently. More dungeons planned in the patches, and there's going to be a transmog closet update to include all offset sets. For example, Purple Paladin Tier 2 BC dungeon set. But there's been a lot. The comments are all saying like, "Oh, this has been talked about for years. There's no proof of this happening." Like people,
essentially, it's like, bring it up again.
Some people said the same thing in Pandaria, right? Like somebody actually. There's actually a post that I saw last week. Somebody actually had an exact. It wasn't a leak. He just said, "What if they made this expansion of Pandaria and you got to do this, and you got to do that monk class, yada yada yada," and then Blizzard did exactly that. So just theory crafters will eventually be right, like just because the sheer number of people who do it. So I'm not entirely surprised that if this actually turned out to be correct, especially considering that Ajara has been like a building part of the storyline for some time, being one of the most powerful mages of all time, if not the most powerful in the World of Warcraft universe. Especially if she's empowered by an old god. That will add a special element. And you know what? They do need to make Alliance and Horde eventually play together, so why not now? I think this is actually quite a smart idea for them. The only thing I'm kind of against is the houseboats, to be honest. I think that's just a bit dumb. I don't think people will be particularly interested in houseboats, but maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
Hey, people like owning things in the world, so why not?
I suppose so. So what do you think? Would you be interested in this personally?
God, no. I'm not going back to WoW for anything. Are you kidding? I think it's fine. I think there's some kind of logical progression there since the Naga have been around throughout, but I don't think they've had major storylines other than when they've had, Eastern Kamador? Or not Kamador, but wherever they were east of... Oh, gosh. I can see it, but I forget the names of things. Kalimdor, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it makes sense. It fits. They need something else since they continue to try to keep WoW going instead of doing the smart thing, shutting it down and creating a new game. But
that's not a smart thing. If you have millions of dollars coming in every month, shutting it down is a dumb idea. No matter what, I would argue.
But when they could have tens of millions coming on if they actually made a WoW 2.0 or something.
We wish.
Exactly.
But it's not going to happen.
Oh, well.
Besides, WoW is still fun. It's still good. It's fairly modern. Their updates have not just been like RuneScape's updates used to be. Admittedly, they fixed it later on, so I can't argue too. I can't moan too much. But the original RuneScape freaking game, when it was updated, there was nothing. Even when they added new content, it just looked bare bones. There's nothing they could do at that stage, just because it was such an old game. But with WoW, they've actually been updating the graphics, etc., over time as well. It's still a fairly polished game.
Yes, it doesn't look as
nice.
old and terrible anymore. It actually looks like you can keep playing it.
It's an MMO. You can only get so good. It's still one of the better ones out there somehow.
I think it's nostalgia that keeps it alive.
Maybe. Okay, so that's my article. Sir, you got one?
I don't have any others that are up to date, but it looks like you do. So let's go ahead and go down your list a little further. Sure.
This one's fun. So this is from PC. The last one's from Reddit, by the way. In fact, let me see who the user was that leaked it. That was from Kajukembo24 in the WoW subreddit. But the next one is from PC Gamer, and I don't need to read it out because it's just the title that's actually good, and it's despite resistance from Blizzard, Overwatch made Pornhub's top 20 searches in 2016. 0% surprised. 0% surprised. Like, not even vaguely surprised. It just makes perfect sense.
Well, so I'd say go ahead and read the article a little bit because I'm curious what you think about this, Ken. Just in general.
All right. Shortly after its arrival last year, a spike in Overwatch-related porn was observed by popular pornography video sharing site Pornhub. At the time, Kotaku did an entertaining and notably thorough investigation to the phenomenon, where after it appeared a number of videos were shut down, seemingly by Blizzard or supported contractors acting on its behalf, such as digital platform security outfit Erdetto. Despite all of this, Overwatch was nevertheless one of Pornhub's most searched for terms in 2016. That's according to the site's 2016 year in review, which examines porn viewing habits over the world, including which countries generate the most traffic in the last 12 months, and what men are more likely to search over women, etc., etc. Alongside a host of, let's say, more generic search terms, Overwatch is the only new entry to feature in the top 20 list, slotted in just over mid-table at number 11. Wow. A list of the most searched for porn stars included non-porn actresses such as Kim Kardashian, but there's no mention of individual Overwatch heroes, meaning it seems they're not entirely picky. They'll happily look at just whoever, so long as they're in the game, I guess. Like I said, I'm not surprised. Like, people love Rule 34. It's like their favorite thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's the internet,
it's
right?
a real thing.
That's the thing. Okay. I actually think it's a cool idea because truth is, if you watch any TV show, if you watch any cartoon, any anime, whatever it is you're into, you can say, I found that actor/actress attractive, and I wish to go and look at naughty things involving them. Sadly, this person hasn't actually been involved in any naughty things. No nude scenes. No dirty videos been released. So what can I do? Oh wait, the creative people of the world have banded together, used their digital art skills, and created models or CGI of this happening. And there's some amazing stuff out there. Like, it's genuinely really impressive. Like, the production quality of a lot of the stuff. We talked about a few weeks ago the Solid Snake, what's the Metal Gear Solid one?
Yeah.
It was called the Phantom. What was it called? It had a funny pun name. I can't remember what it was.
Of course.
But it was the production quality was great. Like, the people who made it were clearly fans of the game, and they were very careful about like the prosthetics they used and the makeup and whatever else, and the scenario and who was in it, etc. And they even had quotes in it and stuff. Like, they actually make an effort to try and make it kind of funny, because not only is it like a shout out to the game as a like, hey, we like you guys, keep up, but it's also a kind of shout out to the fans, and it's a really smart marketing technique because you can say, hey, look how funny this video is, and then game sites will even start sharing the fact that this porn exists, like right now, right? Like Pornhub announcing their stats is actually getting the attention of media outlets, which increases their stats the next year. It's actually really smart of them to do this. As for the legality around it, it's interesting because the intellectual property of the Overwatch characters and so on is obviously owned by Blizzard Activision. However, If they just say it's a parody, you're instantly free to do what you want, right? And technically, all Rule 34 is effectively a parody anyway, right? It's
Pretty
a parody
much.
of the real thing. It's a nude, well, not necessarily violent. I don't know why I was going to say that. It's an adult version, an adult comedic, you could argue, version of it. And so technically, you can do what you want. Okay, so that was that one. We've also got.
Well, and I did want to comment that with at least the Overwatch one, I can tell you that it's one of the interesting differences with Overwatch compared to some of the other things that people do. Because I've seen some like the Rule 34 stuff that a lot of them have, which is, be a different anime and different stuff like that, where it's usually really horribly done, where they take a still from an anime and animate the still. Or something, and they kind of make it do it with real horrible voice acting and stuff like this. Because Overwatch has digital models, and there are somehow some programs out there where people have been animating like VR, or not VR, but like virtual porn, where it's all with computer type things.
Yeah.
They've gotten pretty good at it.
Let me find out what it's called. Source Filmmaker on Steam. You can get that on Steam, right? That's what a lot of people use.
Oh yeah, the Source one. Well,
I believe it's free. Yeah, it's free.
Yeah, no, the actual Source stuff's free. So they've been able to do pretty dang good with stuff. Because not to say whether I have or have not seen any of those, but the quality is actually pretty good. And so that's one of those things that's a step beyond and doesn't surprise me as much. Plus, Overwatch has very noticeable characters in it that are, equally female-male type thing, and so there's a lot to choose from. But yeah, I saw that, was just kind of chuckling because I had heard about it before and then saw the article and thought that was hilarious. So anyhow, sorry.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get my 2 cents on that.
I think this is great. It's artistic, it's fun, whatever. Like, you guys do what you want to do. Who cares? Like, what people do in their own private time, I don't give a crap as long as people are happy, right?
Yes.
Go do you, right? Okay. Next up is another Reddit one, actually. So this is the thing that these past 3 things have all been shared on our Facebook, by the way. Every time I find something that I find interesting that I might talk about in the show, we also put it into the Facebook page. So check that out if you want to see what we're going to talk about early. Maybe you can read up on it and add your own points, send an email. We might talk about it as well. So somebody on Reddit visited on the R Gaming subreddit, guy called XJohnLove1993, visited a gaming-themed bar, and they had a bunch of drinks that were named after games, which is pretty fantastic. They're very well done, actually. Such as World of Barcraft, take down the foes of Azeroth with the 1 Mai Tai blow, dark rum, lime, blue Curacao, I can never say that word, and
Curacao is how I say it.
Curacao, okay. The other one is Destiny. Welcome, Guardian. Park the Sparrow and take a break from all that darkness. Prosecco, Passion Fruit, and Chambord. I don't know say either. Last call, and they all have like fancy glasses with like hearthstones next to them.
Things that match them and such, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Last Call of Duty, the glass looks like a grenade. It says, lock and get loaded. This explosive combination comes with Prestige, Jägermeister, Blavod, vodka, and Red Bull. Deus Ex on the beach. That's pretty good. You have to ask for this. Sex on the beach, as normal, augmented with Goldschlager.
Yeah, yikes.
Then Sky Rum, this is pretty good. The finest drink in all of Tamriel, Sky Rum has been drunk by many adventurers like you. Personally, I would have made, if I was them, I would have made a reference to "You're no milk drinker" or something like that. Vanilla vodka, lavender bitters, and spiced rum.
Huh.
And the last one is Assassin's Mead. I can't see the ingredients, but I imagine it is.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's well done, is it? The thing is, that's going to get them lost. Like, if we had something like that here, I'd be there every day, right? Like, they can keep me away from somewhere like that.
We do here. It's called Dungeons and Drafts, and it's the one that's up in Fort Collins. The problem is it's Fort Collins, so it's an hour and a half drive from here. But they have all of those kind of themed drinks because they have like the one I was having when I was up there was Polymorph Potion.
Nice, so, that's cool.
Yeah, right. All the stuff from Harry Potter, but they had things from kind of all geekdom, drinks that were associated, food as well. And a lot of it, while kind of traditional bar things, were different enough to be unique. Because that's also where I'd gone the one time to watch the Double Clicks perform and some other things.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's one of those that it's also a gaming bar in the sense that they have board games that you can check out from the library to play while there. And so it's really
that's cool.
A nice bar. If you ever make it out this way, Ken, would have to like take you out there to check it out. So there's a few of these kind of places around, and it's really cool when they do because geeks are awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the places that we have around here are stuff like Geek Retreat, which is great, and there's nothing wrong with it.
It's
but
very
it's
cool.
it's not. It's a little too hardcore. Like you go in, there's like organized tournaments and stuff. It's not. While they do have a cafe and stuff, I don't really feel comfortable traveling all the way through Glasgow just for like a coffee.
Or shake or whatever it is we got with there. I mean, it's very cool. I love the place when we went there.
Yeah, it was cool, and I think it has potential, but I felt like it was like an underground thing, and it was
literally.
like literally underground. It was literally hidden away, and there was, I don't know, it's just kind of a small thing. I wish that we had like a bigger call for it. We could afford like a bigger, nice bar or something. And it wasn't nothing there was alcoholic, right? It was a day thing. I'd like to see a bar as well. That's another point. Okay, so that was that. I thought that was pretty cool. Next up, we have games at E3. This and the rest of these are from IGN. So these are the confirmed to appear in playable form on the show floor or in demonstration settings at E3 2017. So the games are ARMS for Switch, Battlefield 1 in the Name of the Tsar for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Battle Sloths 2025, The Great Pizza Wars. I have no idea what that is. Call of Duty World War II.
Going back to basics.
For Xbone 1, PS4, and PC. Both the standard and deluxe are available pre-order, by the way. FIFA 18, which is just the exact same one as FIFA 1 through 17, but better graphics. Harvest Moon, Light of Hope. Now, I didn't know they were doing this. No. Actually. There's absolutely nothing, no information on this actually on their wiki.
Interesting.
Harvest Moon, Light of Hope. Here it is. So Polygon did an article on this 5 days ago. It's heading to the Switch and PC the first time ever. I think it's only just been announced actually. It's Natsume's next game in the 20-year-old farming simulation franchise, and it's a milestone. Not only is the title headed to PS4, but it's also bound for two other consoles, the Switch and the PC, both new territory for the series. I'm really happy this is coming to PC, actually. I'm kind of excited for that, because I never got to try the first one, so this is exciting. In the press release, company president Hiro Mikawa hinted that Light of Hope would be both an evolution and a return to Harvest Moon's roots. That comes across in a familiar logline. The player is set out at sea, looking for adventure when the monsoon strikes and sinks their ship. After washing ashore in a small town, they'll assume care of an abandoned lighthouse. Fixing up a lighthouse sounds quite different than the usual farm scenario. Thankfully, there's still a promise of crops to tend to and eligible singles to woo. So that's pretty fun. I'm glad to see that's coming out, and hopefully they don't just aren't just using the name to rehash it. And if there's a single freaking microtransaction, I will not buy it though. I'm not going to support that as much as I can. I'm going to try to avoid that crap as much as possible. Ugh, microtransactions.
No, microtransactions are terabad.
Yeah, just kill the background music, dude. Just end it.
Well, it's weird. It's like Sam is thinking really hard about wanting to do this. That's all right. We're good. It was just as it was enabling the encoding. Well, maybe not.
Kill me. We'll just talk. It's fine. So that's interesting. I'm very interested in that. The other ones that we have here are Madden NFL 18, NBA Live 18, New Need for Speed. But you're interested in that, right? You like Need for Speed?
I love racing games, and Need for Speed's got a lot of flair to it. Okay,
that's fine. So have you heard much about this next one coming out?
I have not yet. No, the only ones on the list that I was paying attention to is like Splatoon 2. If you're a Switch user, I mean, it's just the next one. It looks actually very similar to the original. So I don't know. But where it gets to the next one, which is Star Wars Battlefront 2, looks like that would be interesting because that one actually is going to have a single-player campaign. And it looks like a solid upgrade from what was originally out there.
So I'm looking for that.
Plus, it's PC. And the last one was gorgeous. It just didn't have enough gameplay. State of Decay 2 I don't really care about, but it's another zombie kind of survival game. One was I heard good things about, but don't know. And the last one on there, which I'm actually somewhat interested in, is Super Mario Odyssey, because that's a prime Nintendo IP, and so they try to make sure those are really good. The problem with that is, at least from the E3 demo kind of thing, it looked a little cringy when they were showing the original, like, or the Switch launch videos, where when they put Mario in the quote the real world city aspect of it, and basically make this Super Mario Sonic Adventure or whatever, Sonic Generations, how it looks like that 3D version.
That sounds like a hell of a money grab.
But he looked so weird compared to the other people, the NPCs in it, because you have this pudgy little classic Mario against people that are like normally proportioned and taller than him. So it just looked really awkward. I don't know. But I'd be curious to see what people's responses and feelings are, because it's going to be a Mario game, so it should be solid, even if it doesn't feel like a Mario game. We'll see. What else? I mean, that's the main ones on that list. And then there's a bunch of rumored ones beyond that. And it's funny because we're actually about out of time here, Ken. I was hoping to pick up that last discussion we had about Destiny 2.
Oh, yes, let's do that. So there are a bunch of articles online. I wonder why, for Destiny 2 available. There are a couple of things here. I actually had 2 articles I wanted to mention. First of all, there's a generic summary of all of the stuff we know about it, and so we can't really go too far in depth there. But the one thing I found really interesting with the Destiny 2 announcement is that they're actually going to be it's actually going to be bundled on Battle.net of all places.
Yeah, well, there's that actually
really
speaks to 2 sides of the big announcements about Destiny 2. Number one, it's coming to PC.
Yeah,
that is like the number one big announcement about this, because console, great. I didn't play it because it was console. And I've seen people playing it lately, and I was like, okay, I'm mildly intrigued or interested. But again, console, I'm not going to play it. And so PC already makes me interested. Battle.net is interesting because this will be the first non-Blizzard game to be announced or released on Battle.net.
So I remember when they first said, well, it's not even called Battle.net anymore. It's called Blizzard Launcher, right? Like,
yeah,
which
it's
is even
now
more
the actual
interesting.
Blizzard. Although mine's still installed as Battle.net, which is funny. But
Oh,
I thought it would change.
I don't know. Maybe they're going to change it back again, because now they're actually, it's not just Blizzard's, right? So it seems a bit weird to me. Like if they are going to make it a mix, then Battle.net makes more sense. But Blizzard Launcher makes it sound like just Blizzard games. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see this. I like to see Blizzard branch out this kind of stuff, and it might actually put some hot water underneath Steam, because Steam's more of a quantity, I think, type thing. They have, well, how many tens of thousands of games under there, right? So I think it's all based on the numbers of games that they have. Whereas if Blizzard's going for the big guns, like we are taking in Destiny, that's a big game. That is nothing small. That's no small potato. So who knows? We'll maybe this will put a fire under Steam, and they can start improving their service as well, or whatever. Competition is always healthy, right?
Well, I say that, but yet at the same time, how many launchers do we need?
Yeah.
Because, oh God, between Ubisoft's and Epic's and Blizzard's,
dude, Blizzard's display a nice launcher to be fair. I actually like Blizzard's.
It's okay, but again, and this is their first reaching out, right? Because prior, it's only Blizzard stuff. So, it's off almost all the time on my computer, unless I'm actually going to launch, I don't know, Diablo maybe play some Overwatch. But because Blizzard games are my primary, I keep it shut off most of the time. And so it's, I mean, just like the Ubisoft stuff, unless I'm playing Rainbow Six or something like that, I almost never bring up its launcher just to have on.
God,
I mean, every launcher wants you to keep it on all the time. The only one I keep on all the time is Steam, because the majority of my games are there and it keeps them up to date. Beyond that, bleh. And so, and like Paz is going to say, it wouldn't be so bad if all launchers communicated friends and chats together and overlays. Yes, because that's the other thing. They all want their own overlay.
Never happen. Because there's certainly no point in having your own. Yeah,
we need more companies. We need more companies that do things like Restream.io that allow you to have multiple accounts, but you log into one and it kind of reaches out and propagates all of them. Because they had that actually with chat programs back in the day, where they had some chats that would let you do like AOL, Yahoo, Messenger,
Skype and Facebook, right?
Right, all of them at once. Yeah, well, the same company, right? Or no, never mind. Skype's Microsoft.
No, yeah, it's not.
But they do blend together. But it's just, let me have one program to rule them on. I'll use the network where my people live, but don't make me load and launch like a dozen different interfaces to get to them. That's the challenge. So yeah, we'll hopefully have some more news going forward about Destiny 2 and talking about more about it. You know, with the other patches and stuff, Destiny 1 seemed to become a better game. And they always teased us from the get-go with it being a PC game when it was first at E3, first announced, first launched. and then said, oh, nope, console only. And so we kind of felt betrayed. Hopefully they'll make up for it with this. It is now time for us, though, to end the show. And so with that, Ken, I'm going to turn it over to you to say, could you run us out of here?
Of course. You can listen to ShowX on VTLProductions.com. To take part in the show, you can send emails to showx@VTLProductions.com. You can take part in the art contest by going to VTLProductions.com, go to the forums at the top, and go to the ShowX board. Join us in there. We always appreciate that. You can also take part and help out the show by subscribing to our Patreon. $1 a month or more, but $1 is totally fine. That would be great. It's easy to set up. It doesn't take you long. It's like 2 minutes, and it doesn't cost you much. It is less than a Starbucks or Costa coffee, even their cheapest one. That's how cheap we are. We sell out for nothing, man. Kidding. All the money goes towards the show stuff anyway. We don't spend it on anything silly. And if that ever changes or anything, we'll always let you know. Do not worry. That money always goes towards either the show or the station. Hardware, software, etc.
Absolutely.
Licenses.
It is only for the show, and because
Non-profit.
that's what serves you guys. So thank you very much for that. So with
you
that,
can also find us on Facebook.com, search for ShowX there, and you can find us on Twitter, twitter.com/VTWShowX, twitter.com/.dead, and twitter.com/GoHex. And also check out Alpha Geek Radio. Those guys have helped us out a lot, and we appreciate all of their assistance. You need to check out their podcasts and also other ones on our station too. Sorry, you were saying, sir.
No, that is it. So thank you very much, Ken, for joining me this week, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you for having me.
Please jump into the TeamSpeak after the show for people who want to game together in the gaming night. I may stick around, but I'll be hopefully costuming so I can catch up with this. Also, next week's show, if it is done, we will see. I will be in Canada, and so I will bring the mobile rig. Hopefully I get everything sorted for that, and it'll be fine, but if not, we'll see. Ken, you may have to handle it, but we'll figure that out. So we'll look forward to that. But beyond that, you've been listening to ShowX on VTWProductions.com, and we will catch you guys again next week. So thank you all for listening. We'll catch you later. And the weird part of not having that.
Hey, it worked.
Well, I'm only playing that